Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I am back after a very long time. I just wanted to make this video in response to a lot of questions that I've gotten on my other videos. And I also want to say thank you guys for watching these videos and subscribing and liking. And if you can, please like and subscribe. And I will do my best in the future to try to get more videos out. And for now, I would like to show you all how different types of edging that you can do on your beadwork. I wanted to share with you this medallion that I'm working on right now. I have a little bit left to go. I'm probably going to finish this today. And I wanted to show you an example of when I do my beadwork. I like to leave a fairly good amount of felt on the edge right here in case I want to add anything, if I have any ideas that come to mind while I'm working on my stuff. But when I'm getting ready to finish this, what I'm going to do is I will cut it down shorter and leave myself probably about 1 centimeter. But you can leave as much as you like. I mean, you could leave a little bit more if you want. Can get it closer down if you're, fairly experienced and you're able to get the bead, needle through. And I know for sure that when I am done with this one, I am going to do this edging, which I call the wraparound. And I also wanted to, share with you guys that I am in no way a professional teacher. I am just a woman who's been beading for a very long time, so I may not have all the correct names and terms for everything, but I try. And so I've decided that I'm gonna call this kind of edging the wraparound, because you basically wrap your beads around the pieces. Let's pretend that this is gonna be a finished medallion or a finished beadwork piece. Here's the backing and here's the front. I just did this as an example of what the edge would look like. And, what you do when you need to wrap around to finish off the edges. I did larger beads right here so you can kind of get a really good idea about what's going on. I left this little piece out right here. This is the tail. And, I left it out to show you that when I start a piece and when I start to edge, I always start from the inside in between these pieces. So that way your knot can be hidden later on and you don't have any knots hanging out. And then also I wanted to show you what I do when I come to these really tight corners right here. So if you take a look right here, these are larger beads as an example. This is what I do for a tight corner right here as well. I go longer amount of beads right here on the edge and a longer on this side, and then I fill it in right here on the corner. And then when I come to a hard edge like this, what I do is I try to bead up till a point, and then I use less beads right here. So I think with this many, I used 8 to wrap all the way around. And then right when I got to this little area that was kind of hard to make the edge, the corner, I used 6 beads and then another 8, and I kind of brought them together. And then I had to do it again right here. And that's how I kind of navigate those really tight, sharp corners, because, we all kind of maybe doing beadwork where we come to an edge and we're not quite sure how to proceed. And then I left this piece right here to show you that when I'm done with my beadwork and I'm done edging and I want to tie it off, I come back through from the front and I come out the back in between the back of these beads right here. And then when I want to tie off, I just come here in between these beads, and then I make a knot by going back through the material and then coming through and then pulling, and that makes a little knot for you right here. And I do it probably twice. I'll come back through the material, pull the needle out, and then I'll just bring it through the loop and then pull it tight. And that way you can hide your, that's how I hide my knots, because I really don't like looking at knots on the back of beadwork. I mean, if you're going to finish it off. So, and then what you'll have is these little bits left over right here. But I just, you know, get something small and I tuck them in and bring it together. And it usually, I do a better job of hiding my knots right there. So that way you don't have your knots kind of hanging out on the edges right here and obstructing, you know, the back of it, because you want the back to look nice too. So this is, you know, I've done some examples here of edging, and I numbered them kind of based off of how many beads I was using on the edging. So this is number, I'll start with number 1 or continue with number 1. I used 1 bead right here to do the edging, and I'll do a quick example. So once you anchor the very first one on there, this is fairly easy. It's just repetitive. And then what you do is you just get 1 little bead on your thread like that. And then you come through the back, and you remember to always kind of give your beads a little bit of space between each other, because, you know, you can't, if you do that, you don't want it to be too far away, you don't want it to be too close, because they'll start bunching and then it'll look crowded and nobody wants that. So we'll bring it through from the back to the front, pull it tight, and then we're going to come back through underneath of this bead right here, like that. And voila, you have this little 1 beaded edge. And this is a really nice edge to use on smaller things or ones that have really wiggly corners. I like to use this one on something like, if it's not round, and it has a lot of little ins and outs of beadwork, I like to use this one because it gets into the corners really nice. And you don't have to worry about adding. So there I went like that. I went from the back through the front, and then we're going to come from the front back through this first bead. And essentially all of these edges that I'm going to show you do the same exact thing. It's just the difference is the amount of beads that you use. So this one I think was called a scalloped edge. I googled it and then I forgot, so I think y'all survive. I mean, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So I used 3, and just to kind of show you, there's 4 beads on this. I'm gonna come and give myself some space right here from the back to the front. Bring it through, and then I'm gonna kind of hold the beads right here so that they kind of go through nicely. And then here from the front, I'm gonna go back up through this 1 bead right here. And then you can pull it tight. You know, I think if you have some pretty sturdy material, you can get a really nice tight pull on there and nothing will rip. So I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to get 3 beads. And I mean, if you wanted to make them smaller, and I'll show you the other examples of using less beads and what it looks like. I totally picked Halloween colors. I love Halloween. So here's the 3 beads right here and the 4, just to show you as an example of what, you know, what this is going to look like all together. I wanted to use the orange to kind of differentiate between the one that's anchoring and the ones that kind of get left out and have a party on the outside of the beadwork. So I just kind of use my finger to hold this here. And even if you want to also measure, I mean, if you're not really sure, at this point I can kind of eyeball the measurements and just kind of, you know, go about my business. But it's good to measure. I still measure my beads to make sure that they're going to go where I want them to go, because I'm pretty finicky beader. So I'm pulling that through from the back to the front, and then I'm going to bring the needle from the front back through this one bead right here. And then when you do that, it leaves a nice little hook. And see, as you can see at the back, you can see how the thread goes through, and it does that the same on the front. So that's that edging, and that's number 1 and number 4. Number 5 I just showed you, I think. So this is the wraparound right here, and this is the one I'm going to use on my big beadwork right here. And, you know, you keep it consistent by using the same amount of beads every single time.